Well, if you watched the last video, I told you that I was headed to an auction, and obviously I couldn't keep my hands in my pockets, and bought this. It's a 1990 F935 with a 72-inch deck. Got a couple interesting things with it, but the most important thing is I posted a short video the other day of it starting, and I asked how many hours were on it. Now, really important thing, this was a municipal surplus sale. So obviously, being a municipal machine, which most of these front mounts were at some point in time, or they were owned by a large groundkeeping golf course, something along those lines. There are a lot of things that you need to know about these units that it's extremely important. They were selling two. One was a 2000 F935, and the other one was this 1990 F935. And on the outset, I'll go ahead and tell you the 2000 was probably the model year 2000, even though it had a cab and a heater and the deck was in better condition. I think I actually prefer this unit in terms of the way it runs, and also a couple other wear points on these front mount units. So to answer your question about how many hours are on this unit, there are 4,690 hours on the meter. Now, obviously, that can be from battery being left on, it could be used. I can tell you the model year 2000 F935 had over 2,400 hours on it, if I remember, 22 or 2,400 hours. So makes perfect sense that if that one had 2,000 plus hours on it, that this one would have 4,000 plus hours. And you know, it kind of shows. I mean, you see the deck has some up here along the front of the deck or so. It's worn out. It's just flat worn out. There's some other things just indicate it's got a lot of wear to it. There's some welding on the deck, stuff like that. But you know, it was taken care of. When I looked at this machine sitting in the auction line, it looks like it has 2 replacement pulleys. That tells me that, you know, somebody at least replaced the pulleys, if not the spindles. The pulley looks to be original on the deck. Looks like, I don't think that gearbox is original. I believe the gearboxes were originally yellow. One of the key things with these front mounts is the drive line. You know, I basically just kind of walk up to them and shake them. That doesn't have that much movement in it. And then you want to also check that double pulley back there. Let me open this up real quick. So this double pulley back here has a number of issues with it, much like the double pulley that is on the 420s and 430s up front. That kind of hogs out over time. So you want to make sure that pulley doesn't wiggle, and that one doesn't appear to wiggle. So far, the only problem that I see with this machine is the fact that it leaks around the valve cover, which that's an easy enough fix. And you know, you saw the video of it crank up, but we'll go ahead and start it up again. And in fairness, I did drive it up to the house to get the camera because I need to get it out and drive it. So we'll just turn her on here. I mean, starts right up. Like I said, I did start it up, so I'm not hurting it here. Need to adjust the throttle a little bit. You can take it a little too far back. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's a really nice machine, nice clean machine. The engine is a 3TNA 72UJ. It is a 22 horsepower. This is the same engine that came in the 455. It's the same engine that came in the 420. However, the 430. The 430, however, was 20 horsepower, and then they went to 22 horsepower in the 455. At least I believe this is 22 horsepower. All of the literature that I have on the F935 indicates that it's 22 horsepower. But you might want to do some checking on these early units. It may only be 20 horsepower. The big thing I was concerned about was this serial number on this engine being below 5,000. It is not. because the 3TNA72UJ engines that had serial numbers below 5,000, they have lots of parts and components that are no longer available. It does look like the radiator was replaced in 2001, manufacture date 8/10/2001, but the serial number tells me that this is a 1990 unit, so the radiator has been replaced. Other than that, you know, really, aside for some rust and some dents and dings, I mean, it's a nice, what appears to be leak-free unit. I mean, even when you, let me walk over to the other side here. I mean, even when you pick up the seat and everything and you start looking in there, obviously it's a little dark, but, you know, overall, you know, everything's really nice and clean. It doesn't look like they just cleaned it for the auction, because there's some grass and stuff on it. I mean, overall, it just looks like a well cared for unit. Obviously, sometimes these units do, I mean, they basically, I mean, being some municipalities do not like taking care of them. They just kind of run them until they're dead. Other municipalities do a really, really good job of taking care of stuff. And I think, and based on the whole line of equipment, this sale, I think that overall, I think most of the stuff was taken care of very well. So, I mean, even down to, if you look, and I haven't, let me see if I can point this out, even down to the rear axle shaft, it looks like that nut has been replaced at some point in the past, and there's actually been some work done on that rear axle. You know, so it's one of those deals that, you know, I don't have a problem with it. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this unit. I did try to mow it a little bit last night. The deck needs some adjustment. And like I said, the deck needs a little bit of work. Well, I mean, it works just fine. It actually runs fine, but it needs a little bit of leveling. I think the wheels, the front wheels, are pretty much worn out on it, but it does. If you're shopping for these units, it's got a couple nice features. It has the one set of auxiliary hydraulics for the front, and it also has the weight transfer valve right here. The weight transfer valve is not on all these, and neither do they all have the dual hydraulics. So, and I basically got two full tanks, or sorry, I think it's a switch, two full tanks of diesel fuel, which is exciting. So overall, I'm pretty excited about this unit. I think what we're going to do, like I said, I have not decided what I want to do with it yet. I will probably sell it because to be bluntly honest, I didn't pay that much for it because everybody was scared of the hours. But honestly, I don't see a problem with it. But, you know, I mean, I could always just add the diesel engine to my collection and, you know, send everything else down the road. Because you never know when you might need a 3TNA72UJ Yanmar. Probably one of my favorite Yanmars that has ever been produced. Like I said, they had a nice long run from, what is it, 86 to basically 2001. I mean, if you look at it, like I said, 3TNA72UJ, and then if we walk over here to the 455, and if you look down in there, let me get my phone out so we can get a flashlight. And if you look at it right there, 3TNA72UJ. Oh, hey, let's see if the UJ3 is on this one. No, this is just a UJ. So maybe that's a way we can determine if it's only 20 horsepower or if it's 22 horsepower. I'll have to dig into that. Like I said, I'm lacking some of the commercial units, some of that early literature on the commercial units, or some of the early F935 literature. So I don't really know, but I know the later 935s had the 22 horsepower Yanmar in them. And like I said, this may be a 20 horsepower, which would be the same as the 430. So anyway, that's it really for kind of the introduction of this machine. I don't know necessarily how much I will do with it. If you watched the last video, you'll know that I have absolutely no mowing to do. and I don't really want to sit on this machine longer than absolutely necessary. I have a lot of other things that I need to do. You know, really just kind of want to have a little bit of fun. I want to do a video on it. I think they're really cool. They're great grass mowers. I mean, these are the earlier versions of the later 1445s. And obviously that I have the 1445, you know, I don't think I necessarily need another 72-inch deck. And I've made that comment several times in the past. And so, you know, I'll play with it for a couple weeks and see what I can come up with it. If you have questions about this unit, let me know. I'm happy to answer them. Basically, I'll try to do one more video of kind of some quirks, stuff like that. I've already talked about the driveline. We'll talk about some of the similarities between other machines at the time, and you know, we'll just talk about the overall build and what you're going to expect to see, because a lot of people, they think of these front mounts, but these front mounts ran from the F910 all the way up to the F935. So let's see, there was the F910, F911, F912, F915. I think there was a 920, 925, 930, and 935. So there were a lot of these front mount units, and they all had, you know, different little quirks about them. The F935 was basically the biggest and the baddest until the F1145 came along. And that's the one that was four-wheel drive. And I have yet to own an F1145. I'd love to own one day. They actually still have a really big following. A lot of people really like them, but a lot of people also really like these F935 units. So have questions, comments, leave them below. If it rains and the yard starts growing, I'll try to get a video of me mowing with it, but I don't know if it's going to last that long around here. So there's a couple small things I want to do to it. If I sell it whole, in terms of inspections, I'll probably replace the valve cover, gasket, stuff like that. So thanks for watching.